Hello, welcome to Cutting Room Floor, the show where your favorite creator, me hopefully, sits down and talks about some fantastic projects. Today we are picking it up and continuing where we left off last week. Yes, we are going where the going gets good. The Cult of Mara Act 2 is where the series really, I think, found its footing. So let's get into it.
I don't know, watching this just makes me want to make something this time. This is definitely the moment where the series took a turn, I think. In the best way. Yeah, it wasn't really cool that day. Boys.
Okay, before we get into it, a little recap if you have not seen last week's episode of The Cutting Room Floor, which I definitely recommend you go watch. But regardless, we are talking about the Cult of Mara series. Last week we covered Act 1, which was from the beginning, testing the Ranautica app, all the way to I'm Done. This week we are talking about Act 2, which I would kind of say is from about Fantastic Stream all the way up until about entry 16. We're finding out where Matthew went. Around those videos, you can include the Matthew Diaries. I'm going to leave that because they're going to be a separate video I'm going to talk about them in. But around that time, and then actually starts about how long can things stay like this, or it's been quiet lately. Those two videos. There's no hard and fast Act 1, Act 2. I'd say there's hard fast Act 1, not super hard fast Act 2. But, as a recap, the series, first of all, follows myself playing a fictionalized version of myself as one of my friends, where I am marked by a cult and stalked and tormented and hunted by them over the course of a year. That's pretty much all you need to know. Act 1 sees kind of the foundation of everything being set up. There's the initial marking. There's Matthew and Liam diverging, where my character is entirely naive, does not believe that it's a cult, does not believe that anything is going on. While Matthew's character not only believes, he's 100% dead set that Liam is wrong and it's not just a fan, it is a stalker and, as we find out later, actually a cult. But within the story of Act 1, it's only assumed to be a stalker, a singular person stalking Liam. That Liam is not taking seriously and treating as just a regular old fan. So, that's where we're at. In Act 1, we have not a lot going on. It's a lot of, this is what I see. Oh, I missed this. We have one interaction of the stalker. We have the break-in. And things didn't go well with Matthew, the big fight between the group, which sets up the story of Act 2. Now, Act 2 begins right about a month after Act 1 finishes, but as we find out, a lot's been going on behind the scenes. And a lot happens in Act 2. Like I said in the intro, this is where the series really finds its footing and becomes something else, and right off the bat. Act 2 is not only longer than Act 1, I would say that there's also more integral videos to the story in Act 2. Act 1, you can jump around a lot and you could kind of skip stuff. There's a lot of just rehashing and setting up the fact that it is creepy and it's a repeat behavior of this stalker. Act 2 now has actual things happening. There's a couple of mini events. There's the setting up of the entire story of the rest of it, the big Matthew's missing. Then we have the call out of the stalker. We have the group working together. We introduce Cameron and Shai as not just side characters that are being a part of the drama. They're now integral to the storyline. They're now main characters of the rest of the series, and they do pop up the rest of the series, especially Cameron. And then, of course, we have what I tell people is probably my second favorite sequence of videos. My first... Act 2 has some of my favorite videos, and really the first videos that I really went, this is becoming something. That's a big thing. Act 2 is when I sat down and I went, this is becoming something. This is actually falling into play, like, you know what I mean? I would say Act 1, it was kind of like, we were still figuring things out and deciding, but when we get to Act 2, I can confidently sit down and say, yep, that was it, that was the moment, or, yep, I really like what we did there. And I really enjoy that. So that's Act 2. Act 2 is the moment that the series became a series. It's also when we expanded on the foundations. It's no longer just a singular stalker. Now we're dealing with a cult. Now we're dealing with a little more whimsical, fantastical elements. Something you have to suspend your disbelief in Act 2. Act 1, you can fully believe it's a real thing. Act 2, we're getting into it. But let's not dance around it. Let's actually talk about what happens in Act 2 of The Cult Tomorrow.
Freaking shot walked up in a sweater. I jumped way too much, and I think I overdid the reactions and everything way too much. This is where the photo of me from graduation was. The pink hair is crazy, I just have to say that.
Okay, so now actually talking about Act 2. It starts right off the bat. I feel like it jumps headfirst into the narrative again. And there's definitely there's filler videos between Act 1 and Act 2 finishing that you could bring in, and I do include them in the actual official playlist. I don't necessarily think that they're integral to the plot, you know what I mean? But it is one thing about this series is I don't feel like there's a lot of filler, especially the later into the series we get, the more it's like plot. But, so you can remember, Act 1 ends with Liam saying, I'm done. No more videos, I'm out of this. I wash my hands of it. And we have some time where there's no direct in-series video. Now we get to Act 2. Act 2 starts off with Fantastic Stream purely because of the first 2-3 minutes. It's Matthew calling my phone. Twice, beginning of it. And that's purely to lay the seeds for the real start of Act 2, which is Dear Matthew. So, I'm going to talk about the Matthew Diaries in depth later, but I can't talk about Act 2 without talking about the Matthew Diaries, because as soon as I'm Done came out, I was full on into production with Matthew Diaries. Matthew and I were talking, I was giving him video lists, we were coordinating shoot days, and again, this will be a more in-depth later, but we did everything. We filmed a bunch. The biggest videos did happen around that time. So the fun little side note, because I revealed last time that Matthew actually did leave for 6 months. It wasn't just that he was like 9 videos. He was gone for 6 months in Hawaii and then elsewhere. But he left 3 days after Fantastic Stream. 4 days, something like that. At the beginning of January. And so the big thing was we did the stream. And then I had to make a video the next day, and we filmed him calling. And so we have that. Matthew leaves. We go and film entry 16. And then I filmed Dear Matthew. And so we did a couple of takes. Fun fact, the voicemail that is used when I'm in Dear Matthew and we're gonna find him, not the one that is left when he calls at the beginning of Fantastic Stream. I listened to it immediately after filming the video and went, I think it's missing something. So we did a couple. I gave him a whole, not a script because I wanted to be natural, but some things to touch on. And then he didn't follow them. But what he did come out with was fantastic. Like, actually so good. I really like what it was. So we have that, I'm like, we're set, we're good to go. And then I filmed Dear Matthew, which is just a call out. It's, hey, have not been able to get into contact with Matthew since he called. Did something happen? Type of thing, like laying the pieces out, but not directly interacting with them. Because also, when it was first coming out, at this point, there were no pieces, like you did not know that the Matthew Diaries had been going on So that fills in kind of the gap between I'm Done and Fantastic Stream of Liam and Matthew's relationship, the state of things, and the state of what Matthew was thinking and saying. And so we have Dear Matthew, then it's They Don't Know Either, and then we're gonna find him. And so these 3 videos set the ball rolling of things have kind of changed in tone. Before it was oh, it's a stalker, no, it's a fan, blah, 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 blah. And now it's become, oh, something's actually happened. Matthew's missing. I can't get a hold of him. Cameron can't get a hold of him. Shy can't get a hold of him. Something's actually happened now. And so we're gonna find him is really where the tonal shift for this series, I think, changes. And yes, I think this is the first point where you have to sit down and go, is this necessarily 100% believable? No. But I can just believe that this is happening. And so the whole idea of this was that we had no evidence that something had happened to Matthew, so there's no point in going to the police. But there's also all that communication, and so far, Cameron hadn't directly been brought into the series in the way Shy had. Cameron was there, but there was no direct conversation about the stalker. So this was the time that now Matthew and Liam had kind of done their time. Matthew's phased out. Now it was time to replace him with Shy and Cameron. So They Don't Know Either, calling both of them saying, hey, like, and of course, we had done like planning meetings. We had sat down in person and kind of gone over what the next couple of months were gonna look like in terms of videos. And then I would send them texts ahead of time being like, hey, so this is the idea. And I'd send them like a whole idea, like I'm gonna call you, answer, kind of go off this. Kind of how I did in Act 1 with Shy not wanting to hang out, not the day I expected to film. We'll say I'm pretty good with remembering the names of the videos in this series. I get something mixed up. From then to now, some of them I can never get right. And so it was like send them texts, call them, be like, hey, like have you heard from Matthew? Like I have this voicemail, blah, 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 nothing. Then we're gonna find him. This is when I was like, okay, now it's not just me. Like, I don't know, at the time, remember this is, so gap year. So I'm not in school, but Shy's working and Cameron is in full-time school. So while I am relying on both of them to be characters in it, I also understand that they have different priorities right now. This is my thing. So at this point, I'm setting them up to be people that help out and be a part of it, but also understanding that it doesn't necessarily mean that every day I can film with them for 6 hours. And if you've seen Act 2, I don't film with them actually after this video, really. But at this point, this is also where the character shift happens, where, and I think Act 2 is really, I think, a really nice like narrative, because this is where you see the character development for my character, where I go from being naive and like, no, nothing's happening, it's not a stalker, it's a fan. And suddenly I'm switching and I flipped and suddenly I believe everything and I am like, my eyes are open. And it's cool to go into that role of being the naive, like annoying, like refusing to see what was in front of my face and flipping to being the person that's now most sold on the what's going on, if that makes sense. And so in doing this, what happens is we jump headfirst into it. So now we've established, and it was a freezing cold day this day. It was fun. We went to Elston Park, which, fun fact, was gonna be one of our marketing locations for like the end of the series. But it just wasn't like, we weren't sold on it 100%. But we're out there. It was cold that day. And so we'd all gone around, we'd walked, like done a lap and gone over what we were gonna talk about, how it was all gonna go, the like. Then we go up there, we're standing on the hill, okay, so here's the idea. And like going over from the case, so Cameron, you're gonna be here, Shy, you're gonna walk up on us, because remember, you don't wanna be on camera. So Shy walks away, and I start filming. And I mean, there's certain lines in the series that are kind of just my favorite. One of those is, why would I let you guys help it? Like, it's obviously dangerous. What, are you gonna be a dumbass and do this alone? Have you ever seen a fucking horror movie? And that also, I think, was like at this point, Liam has bought in fully. Something happened. Something serious is going on. But he's already learned from Matthew that doing it all alone, not the best way to do it. So he accepts the help. Then from there, we go and we actually build out the lore. So it's the cult of Mara. This is where I start laying those pieces of, Mara the demon, what we know so far. Like, I start expanding the knowledge so that I can expand the character of Liam, his knowledge base of what he actually knows about what's going on. And bring it up to speed. And now it's like, oh, Matthew had called me at this point. And then I think a lot of these are filler. They're still important. They still make things make more sense. But they're filler. They're just filling in time until we get to a message to the stalker. Where does Liam, and he has gone from naive to overconfidently stupid, where he directly calls the cult out, goes, show yourself. I haven't seen or heard from you in forever. I'm not scared of you. Stupid, but it's trying to get something going on. And then we get to one of the, I think, most fun videos and harder to film videos, I would say. A bloody surprise. So I love a lot about this one. For one, this mirrors birthday card in my window. This package was found in the window from the stalker. It's a gift wrapped in duct tape. The difference this time, what I did, it's a little secret because it's full of fake blood. Took a Ziploc bag, let's go to I take the SD card and the coordinates, wrap them in a bag, duct tape them, put them in a Ziploc bag, fill that with fake blood, duct tape that. And so this was like a big, I have no way going back once I actually get into it. I did redo one of the takes because I hated how I was doing it. Because I'm like, how am I supposed to act with blood? But also, I don't want to get it splashing everywhere all over the floor. Like, I don't want it to stain. And B, I don't want to get age restricted because I'm showing blood on a knife and all this. So it's like a balancing act. Like, what can I show? What can I not show? And I also couldn't cut too much. Because I'm like, if I cut too much, it's a little like, and you guys can see this a lot in the series in general. The farther into the series we get, the less I try to cut so that it seems more believable and more like I'm just uploading this for documentation. Less I'm cutting this down for pacing, if that makes sense. And so we get into it, I'm going and I'm like, this is so gross. It was gross. Let's be entirely clear. It was gross. For one, it was cold. It was cold blood. Two, it kind of had a smell to it. And three, it like congealed a little bit. So there's like kind of low-key clots, which is gross. And then I couldn't find the SD card for a second. I actually couldn't find it. So while doing this, I'm like digging around and trying to make it look real without dragging this on too long. And I think that Act 2 definitely has a pacing issue where some of these videos are a lot longer than they should be. And Bloody Surprise, I think honestly, what I would have done looking back, cut into it, see there's blood, get a bowl, slice it, pour the blood out, take the stuff. Much faster, much better. But I didn't. I kind of dug around the package. And then I pull out an SD card and coordinates. Then we get into the SD card. And another thing with this time is the time between uploads. I didn't realize how much time happened in between. Like, from a bloody package to the SD card, there's a couple of days, and I directly call it out in the video. I say, it's been a couple of days, and I'm finally looking. It's like, why? And part of it was because I was trying to organize getting Cameron and Shy to come over and watch it with me. Didn't work out, obviously. But this is when we get it. The SD card is the Matthew Diaries. It's documentation of what Matthew was doing in between I Am Done and A Fantastic Stream. That's when all 15 entries take place. A Fantastic Stream is kind of the cutoff, and then we have entry 16. And of course, it's so hard to not talk about them because I really love these. But they don't necessarily, they give a lot of information. You know, there's some answers to new questions that comes out. And there's the coordinates, and they don't want to go. You know, it's where I call Cameron and Shy, because again, couldn't get them to come in person. I'm like, hey, like, there are these coordinates. I got these in the blade package of the cult. Do you want to go to them? And it's like, no, like, that's stupid. And that is. But for the necessity of the plot, I have to go to them. And so this one, you know, in universe, Shy and Cameron say absolutely not. Shy just was too busy with work. Cameron was an absolutely hell yeah, which worked out because they were never meant to come with me. This was to establish the cult. And so at this point, I started uploading the Matthew Diaries entry, I think 4 had been out by this point. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let those gonna come out daily, once a day, coming out just to really fill the gap and fill in the story and really show what was going on with Matthew beforehand. And we end at 15, where it's Matthew explaining his story, his plan, and then he's sending this before he goes to do what happens in entry 16. And so we don't know where he went. He doesn't tell us. It's glitched up. So we can only go off of that. So we're still looking. There's like some answers. There's answers like it's a cult. Matthew was definitely attacked by the cult. Like this is definitely linked. But new questions like where did he go? What happened to him? Like all this different stuff. And so, and these are definitely my 3 favorite videos of Act 2. I'm going alone. What happened at the coordinates? And then we have the scariest night of my life, the 3-parter. And so with this one, fun fact, I filmed what happened at the coordinates before we went to the coordinates. I just changed. But so what I did was we filmed I'm going alone. I know it's stupid, but I'm going alone. And then we get to the scariest night. And so what happened was I picked up Cameron. We drove to Fish Creek Park. Because this is where we had filmed our cult meeting for the Matthew Diaries. So this was meant to be the same location. He was meant to recognize it because he watched the diaries. So we get there. And Cameron, I have a costume for him, but like just the 2 of us, we go when we walk. It's like midday. So we walk the entire area. I'm like, okay, so this is what I'm thinking. Like this tree come out from behind it. Then we're gonna cut right up there. That's where the parking lot is. So just go back that way. That's where I'm gonna go. It'd be like a little cat and mouse. Like you're gonna be hunting me. It wasn't meant to be a 3-parter actually. At first, it was meant to be 1 video, maybe 2. And so I'm like, okay, so here's the plan. You're gonna be in costume. I'm gonna walk down, and you're just gonna be kind of follow me from a distance. And then in part 2, we're gonna have the note on my car, and I'm gonna follow you, and I'm gonna be like chasing you, thinking I have the upper hand, and then I'm gonna get knocked on my ass and beat, and that's when it's gonna escalate. So part 1 goes fantastic. I forgot until I was watching that he actually does show up in it. So I actually challenge you to go back and see if you can spot Cameron in part 1. Because it's really cool. He's in this. Again, I've told you guys before. Like when we talked about the curator, I love to use my Halloween masks. And so the cult mask was actually a Halloween mask. It was like this, like glassy face. And so the whole idea is Cameron's walking around in this cloak in his leather jacket, following me. But he's staying far back that you can't recognize him. And we haven't seen Cameron enough in person by this point to be able to, in my mind, directly place those two together. So we're going, I'm walking around, I get to the point, I recognize the spot, and I'm like, well, there's nothing here. Like, this is a dud. And this was meant to reflect testing the Randonic app. My behavior, attitude, everything, they're meant to mirror. The difference is, this now is what could go wrong. And I'm like, well, nothing here, waste my time. Didn't give me any answers. And I walk back to the car, and we cut. Get back to my car. And we have the note. I wrote it with my left hand. I still think it looks kind of like my writing, but I was trying to make it not look like my writing, but I did this in advance. And so we get ready to go. I'm like, okay, we're pumped. I'm ready. And I see Cameron. And I'm like, okay, so here's what's gonna happen. Because I need you, you're gonna stand behind this tree and you're gonna walk down, and I need you to get some distance so I don't like catch up to you, because I can't really catch you until we get to that tree where you're gonna punch me. So I need to see you, but I also need to come up with a realistic reason of why you're getting that much distance between us. So my idea was, see the note, look around, you're already walking. And then boom, I trip. This is one of my proudest edits, because you cannot see that I cut it. It's 2 separate takes. So let me walk you through what happened. The first take, I go to run after him. I trip, eat shit, lose my keys. I hit the ground and my keys fall in my pocket. I get up to go run after him and I go, oh my God, my keys. And then I'm standing there looking around for my keys. I'm like, frick, this is ruined, this is so bad. Look for my keys. It takes me a good couple of minutes. Find my keys. And I'm like, perfect. I get running after Cameron and he's walking back. Because he didn't see me. I wasn't following him close enough. So he decided to come back. I'm like, frick. So I stop him, like, okay. I'm gonna follow again and then cut and pick up from there, because I'm pretty sure that I look back at my key, the camera did in fact touch it went black for a second, so I can cut at that, during that time, and then stitch it together. So I'm like, you just from here, keep going, okay? Like, stand there and maybe wait for me. When you see me, you start walking. I go back, do the whole fall, cut from there, and I feel like you guys cannot see it. One of my proudest things about this. So I'm going, I'm chasing Cameron, and I'm like kind of trying, like, I'm like, I still need to stop because he's walking, I'm running. Like, I'm full sprinting after him. I wasn't actually sprinting after him, but he gets to where he's going. Like, he's going, and I'm seeing him from distance, and I'm like, in the moment, like, what can I do? What can I say to justify me stopping and not chasing him down? I'm like, oh, like, what if there's more people? Because at this point, I've seen the cult meetings. Like, there is more people involved in this. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna make sure there's no one around. Like, this is stupid, this is a bad idea, but I'm gonna keep going. And then I go, as I'm going down the path, I'm like, maybe I cut again. So maybe I should slip on this ice and fall. But I'm like, no. And I do it. But then in my head, I'm like, it looks fake if I've done this twice. So I don't. I'm like, never mind, screw it. I've lost Cameron at this point. So I'm like, I'm hoping that he's following the plan and he's not gonna come back and ruin it, because we're gonna have to go back to the beginning to do this take again. And so I'm going, and I've actually lost Cameron, and it has gotten significantly darker. And it was maybe from me ending part 1 to getting to my car and then starting part 2, maybe 10 to 10 minutes, like, not long at all. But I turn around and I'm like, okay, we're going. I'm looking, get into the trees, and I would have liked to get a little bit closer before, because I tried again. So originally it was 2 parts. I get knocked down and get up. The behind the scenes little story. When Cameron knocks me over, he comes up behind the tree. First of all, looking back at this, I'm like, oh, I should have accounted for this, and either A, made Cameron not be allowed to wear that outfit, or B, lay the seeds that Cameron's a part of the cult. Because he comes out of behind the freaking tree, and you can fully see his outfit behind his cloak. I would have brought a different cloak, too. But I hit, and in my pocket, I had blood capsules. And so the whole point was I get punched, I go down, and at this point I was going to cut it. But it was not into 2 videos, it was me, I cut it, and Cameron, and I'm gone. Like, I start running. But I cut it like this so that I can put the blood capsule in my mouth, pop it, spit it out, start having the blood come out, and then run. That took a long time. And unfortunately, when I first hit, I didn't hit enough to be dark, like black. There was still light, so I had to get creative with the cuts. And so in the editing room, when I was sitting down with it, looking, I'm like, I cannot make it look good as one part. That's why it's 3 parts. It's because that one take, I'm like, I need the benefit of YouTube loading one clip to the next to give me a little bit of leeway with how jumpy that is. Do that, I go down and I start running. Camera starts chasing me. And we do this like on the camera, unfortunately, it's so dark. And I wish it wasn't, because Cameron's actually like stalking me and like hiding behind trees and staring at me. Like he was actually like hunting me and playing with me in that like a creepy way. And unfortunately, I'm just I'm going. Like the camera just doesn't pick up on the fact that like he walks right by where I'm hiding and all of that. And so I get up and I went up a different path than we had gone over before. We were like laying it out. And I get up and I'm like, frick, where's the car? And then I'm like, oh, camping spot that way. So I start running, and I'm like, I don't know if Cameron's gonna be able to find me. So when I put on the screen, I don't know where this footage went. It's because I called Cameron. I'm like, hey, just keep going, go up the hill. I'm going towards the car, so just go. Because he'd lost me at this point. I full on run towards the car, get into the car, and I'm like, I need the last scare, him jumping on my car. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta go. And the funny part was, I hadn't thought about this. My phone was about to reconnect to Bluetooth and play the music that I was playing before. Like, okay, we're good. Pull up, boom, jumps on my hood. And as soon as he jumps, the music starts again. And so it's like a double jump, like, oh my God, overstimulating, which I think actually really works out. And some of these unintentional things, I'm like, that's really cool. And I'm glad that happened. That is one of those where the music goes and I pause the music and I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to get away. He's like jumping on my hood, smacking my window, banging out of it. I drive away and then the camera battery dies. The camera battery did not die. Fun fact, did not die. But that was the end of part 3. And it was meant to give me that little bit of a recap writing of this is what happened. Oh my God, it was so scary. Double fun fact, my dashboard lights did not work up until that point. Just at night, headlights, dark. Cameron jumping on my car hood, fixed it. That was the first time I realized that he jumped on it and all of a sudden, boom, lights up. I'm like, oh, I can actually see. So that was a fun little fact, fun thing we found out. I think this is really good. I think part 2 is my favorite of the 3, but I think as a whole, these are really good videos, and these really set up the cult as not only like a threat, but that they're bold and just like as a tangible thing of like Liam has actually witnessed the cult firsthand. There's no denying it. And I just think that's so cool. And then, during this time, there's also the rest of the Matthew Diaries coming out. And then it's figuring out where Matthew went. This is when we kind of clicked that, oh, he's going, and I will say, I was the one who laid the comment saying, he went to where you went random, because it just wasn't the community interaction that I was hoping for at this point to move the story forward. And so I did have, I think, 2 accounts, because I only wanted to do it twice, and I didn't want to use the same account. That if, by the time I needed it, pacing-wise, someone had not commented the answer I was looking for, or interacted in enough to give my character a bit of a jump in, like, oh, I should think about this, I would comment. So this is one of those. I think this is actually the only time I used that, I think, of where I commented, it sounds like he's going to where you went nodding. And that's where we go. We find out where Matthew went. And so we're walking around, it's me and Cameron. Cameron's actually in this again. We're together, and he's actually himself. And so we're walking around, we're looking, and it's like, oh, it's like nothing. You know, I give him the camera. And I'd come and I buried the backpack beforehand. We'd done it, we buried it, we found the area, walking around, and then boom, I find the backpack covered in the symbol. I bought this backpack at like Goodwill. I just needed a cheap, ratty backpack to use as a prop for this. This is the only time I needed it. And it's one of those things that I wish I had called back to in the finale, that I had used this backpack to leave, but hindsight's 2020. We find it with an SD card in it with one file, entry 16. And this is, entry 16 is the only one that I actually do attach into Act 2 that I don't think I could move forward without having it. And I think the rest of Matthew Diaries, they have their place, belonging in Act 2. I just want to talk about them separately. But entry 16 is also where I would say is the end of Act 2. And that is Matthew going here to destroy the markings with the cult book and getting attacked. Let me just say, my favorite accidental shot of the entire series is in entry 16. And I tried to recreate it in the finale. Because Matthew goes out there, I am the cult leader in this one. I'm the cult person. Everyone in the series had a chance to play a cult member. So, fun thing. I tackle Matthew. His camera falls. We didn't plan this. Falls naturally in the perfect angle. With a little bit of snow on the lens and gets the shot of me attacking him. We don't look over the entire time. We go, we're going to try it once. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. We'll retake it. But let's try and get in the first try. This was the first take of the attack. The angle was perfect. And I was like, I want realism here and less getting a shot. And that was kind of what I said to myself, was like, I want Matthew to be attacked to look real. I don't necessarily care as much if we don't get video of it. And so the camera falls perfectly and you get to see me choke him out and punch him. And I know how to hold my punches when I like fake punch. So I do it in a way that looks real enough. And he's wearing 2 layers, so you get the noise of the impact, so it actually seems like I'm hitting him. And then he falls limp. I drag him away, and it just keeps rolling. And that's entry 16, the end of Act 2. We know what happened to Matthew. We don't know where he is. We know he was attacked and abducted by the cult. Things are rolling. I love Act 2. We filmed the attack the day of the live stream. So Fantastic Stream was the day after my 12-hour live stream. Me and Matthew met up at 9 a.m. that day to go and film entry 16 before I went into stream for 14 hours. The amount of work and care that Matthew put into this series blows me away, and I appreciate it so, so much. He had put so much effort into making the series go the way it was. His part is integral to the story continuing on from there. I love Act 2. I think it's where it really gets good, but Act 3 is definitely my favorite. And we'll talk about that next week. So that's Act 2.
Oh, right, there is stuff in part 1. Bloody surprise. This is probably one of my favorite videos. Purely based because I just think it was fun to make. Audio is terrible, but I think this is a good video.
And with that is the end of the 15th episode of The Cutting Room Floor. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have not seen The Cult of Mara, the link to the whole series is in the description down below. If you only watch Act 2, just scroll down until you get to Fantastic Stream and watch up until entry 16. But that being said, what do you think? Do you think that Act 2 is really where it starts and really gets into it? Because I would have to say it is. I love Act 2. I can't say that's my favorite though. I love Scariest Night of My Life. I think those 3 videos are really fun. But I think that the finale really recreates those just to the next extent. You know, the next level up. So while I love Act 2, Act 3 and the finale are just, like, they're my favorite of it. Which is what we'll be talking about next week. Super excited, super pumped. I had so much trouble waiting. I wanted to film this and then upload it again earlier, but I was like, no, like, we need to wait to do this until next weekend to stay on schedule. But maybe if you guys convince me, I might release Act 3 earlier this week. Who knows? Fingers crossed. That being said, thank you all so much for watching. These are my patrons scrolling by right now. If you want to become a patron, the link is in the description down below. Click on that and you can become a patron of The Cutting Room Floor. You also get an extra exclusive episode every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and then 2-day early access to this video every Thursday at 11 a.m. Did I say that? Tuesday 11 a.m., Thursday 11 a.m. Super exciting, super fun. I hope you guys enjoy this. It means the world that you're here. And it means the world that you guys choose to support me. So thank you so much to everyone who's a patron. I love you all. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like if you enjoyed today's video. And I'll see you guys in another episode of The Cutting Room Floor very, very soon. Goodbye.